Alright guys, welcome back to another MCreator tutorial. So today what we're going to be looking at is command parameters, which is a procedure block, but also kind of its own element. So we'll be looking at both of these and how they kind of work together and stuff like that. So we have all the blocks here for the command parameters. You can find them under the command parameter tab here, and that's all of the ones listed here. We'll be looking at them in groups of the 4 sections here just to kind of show you how things work and stuff like that. I won't be going into an actual use thing because there's a lot of blocks here to cover, but I will be explaining what these individual blocks do and how to basically use them. So let's go into the tutorial and let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is we're going to create a command, and these elements are specifically for custom commands. So we're just going to go and call it start. I think that will be a fine name just to kind of demonstrate what we got. So like I said, a lot of these have to do with the command element itself. So when we're working with the command element, we have a tab here called parameters, and there's a whole bunch of different types of parameters that we can actually add. So we'll be going over the numbers first. So I'll be showing where you can find these numbers, what the values actually do, and how to actually use the parameter blocks. So we'll be starting with the most obvious thing that is common between all of them, and that is the name. So the name needs to be something different between the ones already used, at least on that particular level of parameter. So if you have something like 2 names like this, when they're on the same hierarchy, that won't work. You need to have a separate name for between these two, but you can have the same name as long as it's a child of that parameter. So for example, this would work just fine. You could do name, and that would be fine. You could also have it in a separate group. You could have a parameter with like name 1 and name 0, and this would work just fine. You could have the name 1 as a separate parameter inside of those as a child, and that would work perfectly fine. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the blocks now that we got the names under control. When we go to the command, you'll notice that it will have name as well. When you're targeting the name, you need to have the same name as the one in the parameter, or it will not work. And the command should be within the hierarchy of the actual parameter to be able to use that name. So you can't target the name if it's like outside of that block. So we can't target something that is in parameter 0 or parameters name 0 that doesn't have a child. Like, we can't run it from this particular block. If we're trying to test for name 0 from where this call block is located right here, it's not going to work, and neither will this one at the top here. It needs to be within the parameter itself. So let's go ahead and move on to what kind of blocks there are and basically what the values would be when you're actually using them in commands. So we have the blocks here for the numbers. We'll be starting with those. All right, so to find the blocks, we have a couple ones here. We have X position of command block position parameter, and then there's the name, of course. We have the Y version, Z version, and X version. We also have a get command number parameter. So we'll start with the coordinate ones because that's the easiest. There's only just one block for that. We can go to the top here, and it's a green block. It's not blue for some reason. I think they did this to make it a little bit easier to find in most cases. So we have basically this, which will allow us to get the position of a location in the world. So for example, your X, Y, and Z. Now you would just use the X, Y, and Z parameters here to basically target a position that you would want to use in a procedure. So for example, this one block covers all 3 of those blocks here. So everything minus that one there. So these 3 right here. The other blocks that we have are the number ones down here. So there are 3 different number ones that will be able to be used with the number 1 down here. So the get command number parameter, this one has 3 blocks. So we have number parameter with name, we have number parameter with minimum, and then a number. So this would be a minimum number that is required. I'm not sure if it supports integers or just or if it's a float, but the examples here are integers, so it might only support integers. You can try with floats. I'm not sure if it will give you an error or not. And then we have another one down at the bottom here, which is get number name with minimum and then a number, and then maximum with the number here. So you can kind of customize the range of where these values are going to be basically be generated for your thing. And then you would just use this block here to get the number itself. All right, so let's move on to strings. So these ones down here are strings. We have different ones here. So if we go to, we'll start with the message parameter because that's probably the easiest one to start with. So we'll get rid of these ones here. And we can go to parameter, and we have a couple different string ones to work with. We have message parameter, which allows us to get a message or type a message. It's kind of like a full string with spaces and things like that, where the string of type, and then you have a couple different options. So we'll cover the different options in just a second, but this one down below is for the string parameter, which is this one right here. The other one is with a message, that is for the message parameter. We'll get into the one here in just a second. That's a little bit of a different system. All right, so basically we have name. This is just going to get a string. So for example, if we had a bunch of text that user inputs, it could be multiple words. Does the dog bark? So this would be a message including the spaces. And the other option, which is the string one, we have a single word. This is only words that basically allow us to use one word. So it can use underscores. They kind of use that in the example here. So it would have to be all one solid string, no spaces. So it would be something like, does the fox jump? So something like that with the underscores would be a valid single word. And then your quote text is basically similar to a message parameter, but it needs to be encased with quotations. So when you're actually typing the command out, it'll be something like this message is quote. So something like that. Basically, you would have the quotes, and then you would basically be able to get the message itself like this. So as long as it would be quoted in the command parameter itself, you would be able to use full strings like this. And that's pretty much the 2 blocks for these. Of course, you have the name at the end here. And then there was that other block that we had for a string as well. Now, this is a little bit of a different system. Because we have something called an index, and the index relates to this particular block here. So basically what you would do with this is if you would accept any parameter and call a procedure. So basically this is used the old system before parameters were actually introduced. And I honestly can't remember how it was used because it's been so long since we've had that. But I'm pretty sure has to do with the order of how things are run. So basically, if you're running a certain thing from top to bottom, usually you wouldn't use this system anymore. But if you need to get the index of something, like for example, a order that it's currently in, then you would have like a conditional based thing. But we don't even have is statements anymore to kind of work with. So you would have different parameters and stuff like that. But I wouldn't worry about this one too much. It was kind of left in just to make sure that there was support for the old system. So you can kind of ignore this one at the very least. So let's move on to entities, because that's the next one on our radar. Okay, so we have get command entity parameter, which is a null value. This means that it can be a empty variable for an entity, so it doesn't mean that it will always be a target. In this case, when you're working with that, you probably want to use something like this. So you would basically test if the character is null, and then you would basically go ahead and assign that to whatever procedure you have. Reason why you do the equal sign with a cross is basically you're making sure that there is something assigned to it. And anything with the null value on the end here is really important to make sure that it's not going to return a null value, because it can cause crashes. So you use this block with the logic value to basically test to make sure that it actually has something assigned to it. So the parameters for this one would be your entity parameter, and there's just that one for the entity. There isn't anything else for it. So you have one player and then one entity. This is going to target living entities, where the other one's going to be targeting players. And then you also have your players, which is all players, and entities, which is all entities. So you have a few different options here, and that brings us to the for each entity provided with command parameter as, and then the entity iterator. So when you're working with things with multiple entities, like entities and players, then what you have is this option where you can actually specify certain ones from that list. So if you wanted to get everyone with maybe a start of the first letter that their display name that starts with N or something like that, or maybe K or something, then you can test for their name using this and then run something based on that. Just as an example, that's how you would basically do it. So you'd get this block here for the entity iterator, and then you would just keep cycling through for every entity until you find what you're looking for in that particular thing. So those are the two entity ones, and that leaves us with the last three blocks, which is logic, block state, and your item parameter ones. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. And we have them all over here. So our block state will allow us to get a specific block in the world. And then we also have our item, which will allow us to select a specific item. This works for both mods and your own mod as well as vanilla. So all of these are supported for all of those. And we also have the other one, which was logic. So this one basically allows us to specify a true or false statement, your standard variable stuff. So those are the ones there, but there is also one last one in here that that doesn't actually have a specific value for this, and that is, if we look at the command parameters, there's a purple one here. Now with this one, the literal parameter, it allows you to kind of space things out a little bit differently. So for example, if you had option 1, option 2, so you would have two different variables here. The literal value of this parameter will be either option 1 or option 2. This will be like in a drop down or selection list when you're actually running your command, and then you can have separate things based on that. This doesn't actually return a value that can be used in the thing, but it is really useful for separating commands and stuff like that between actions. So for example, when you're using weather, like weather set, and then you can do the particular one like clear, and then there was raining, and then thunder as well. So this would basically be your literal values for this. So basically that's how it works when you're working with literal values, and then you don't actually need to return any particular one for this. Yeah, that's just basically what you would use it for. But outside of that, that's all there is really to it. Just make sure that your names match and that you're using the correct block for your command parameter when you're using it with your command. They're pretty much color-coded except for the position blocks, which is a green block, not a blue block, but you do get all the X, Y, and Z when you use the green block, so you have all options for those. You don't necessarily need to use each individual one, but you do get all three options when you use the green one. Other than that, I hope you found today's video useful. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, comment down below, rate the video, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out.